Welcome to our Post-IBC webinar. Thanks for joining us today and taking time out. Today we are going to present you our newest innovations with a focus on the new fernReport, who won the RedTech Best in Show Award at the IBC. This webinar will last 45 minutes, including time for questions at the end. But please feel free to write your question in the chat to everybody during the event, so we can also answer them during the webinar. And last but not least, I will send you the recording by the end of the week. We had a great time at the IBC. Thanks for those who visited us. We got many visitors. Lot of interest for aixtream software and the new fernReport. Many international visitors also, so it was a great IBC. The IBC published officially that 43,000 people came to the IBC this year over the 4 days, coming from 170 different countries. So it was definitively a big show. And we already rebook for next year a bigger booth. So for those who didn't come to the IBC, we have planned this webinar. So let me introduce first the speaker of the day, Detlef Wiese, Ferncast CEO, Tobias Dornbusch, our product expert, and Bernd Geiser, senior audio engineer at Ferncast. Let's have a look now at the agenda. Detlef Wiese will first present you the Ferncast offer and all the application we covered. Then Tobias Dornbusch will showcase a new fernReport, including a demo. Bernd Geiser will then present you the latest aixtream features. And at the end, Tobias Dornbusch will unveil our new cloud services. I just would like to remind you that we will have also a traditional quiz this time, and you might win a Ferncast t-shirt or a new Ferncast cap. Let me now give the floor to Detlef Wiese, who is going to present you Ferncast team and the Ferncast offer.
Yeah, hello, good morning, everybody, and very nice to have you today as our audience. Very international. I would like to say hello to those here on the Zoom video call and conference, but also to the ones being live on LinkedIn, where we will be simultaneously. So hello to you as well. Yeah, Ferncast is a team of people. I think that's something we always would like to emphasize. Of course, products are very often in the foreground, the solution, the technical stuff, pre-post sales, installation, technical problems. But the key thing is people. So I think I really would like to emphasize, because I'm also very happy that I'm part of this team. Ferncast is a team of people, and we define ourselves as being approachable. So you can contact us, we are there, we'll be there for you. We try to be advisory in a nice, polite way, supportive if there's anything, and keeping friendly. So that's the bit of our philosophy. So we changed a bit our slogan a couple of weeks ago in let's say, having the IBC in front of us as a target. And we thought, well, what is mainly our focus? And we define ourselves as an audio logistics company. And why are we doing this? Because our focus is definitely audio. Our focus is technology, and in combination, we want to make sure that audio is treated well. And we design and customize, so we help out customers for problems and in problematic situations when they have challenges. Of course, combined with a standardized mainstream product we have on offer. So when we look to this a bit more in detail, a very simple thing is when we transport audio from A to B or from A to many destinations, it looks pretty simple. Of course, you as people from the audio industry, the broadcast radio industry, you know that there are a lot of things involved, and that quite often also there is big complexity behind. Our job is to make life easy, to have good solutions, running solutions in the 24/7 operational side, giving cool UIs and good workflows to make life easier and yeah, let's say more convenient. When we look to our offer, so we would like to divide a bit our jobs. The key job, of course, we are developing continuously our software called aixtream. That's our 24/7 live software, let's say software for live audio applications, although the functionality has been really increased over time from live also to offline processing, file creation, loudness processing, and so on. So there's quite a big variety of things you can do now with the aixtream software, and it's something which we continuously work on. So that's probably also very important. There are regular release notes, and yeah, I think there will be later a slide on the current one as well. The second part is cloud services. So the software can be offered as an appliance on servers or in a virtual machine, but it can also be ordered as a cloud service, as a subscription. We package the software also in hardware. That's our audio codec server approach. That's the third part. And then also we do consulting. So in very often, in lots of cases, when we get projects, there is the need for, let's say, consulting. This consulting can be very simple, can be just maybe 1-2 video calls, but can also be a whole specification for a complete project where we dive in very deeply in different APIs and in workflows and so on. So here what we see on this slide is the area of our applications. And Ferncast, I need to say, we are a pretty young company. I mean, in broadcast, you see quite often companies with 20, 30, 40 plus years existence. And we are in our 5th year when I calculate right. And so the main application we started is streaming, but we moved on. I think we have in streaming quite a good depth also. That means in functionality where we have gone through and have really key customers on that in that area, also in the public radio field in Germany and beyond, also in Europe. We included on-demand services and file processing, went into the reporting, and it's, well, not my job, I think, in the introduction to go into all those different expressions which are underneath those headlines in those different columns here. But at least when you go through them, it's quite a big picture. And there's more. There's studio transmitter links we support. We support DAB, demultiplexing, monitoring, DVB multiplexing, and demuxing, and so on. There's quite a wide range of things, which I want to show you, I think, a bit more when we look to the ecosystem of aixtream. There's a nice block diagram. So the aixtream ecosystem, I think it's probably, and you don't have to read it, I think it's a bit small, but we go in depth and we will zoom into some of them very, very quickly. But what you can see, and I would say it's far from complete, it just gives you, I think, an extract of applications and possibilities where, let's say, in the center, we have always somehow the studios, the production studios, sound studios, the master control rooms with a variety of equipment. And then depending on the applications, you use different type of equipment for the remote contribution. For instance, our new fernReport, you may have the necessity to mux DVB signals with HEAC or demux them and stream them somewhere. You may have to receive DAB ensembles and take them apart and stream them out at Icecast for monitoring or just for logging to document that the audio has been sent. And the interesting part is that I think with the software aixtream, we go on one hand a new way how to actually solve and apply 24/7 software for those different applications. On the other hand, of course, we are directly also competing with audio codec hardware. And so that's why we also packaged the software in combination with generic servers and call them audio codec servers. That's the black boxes you may almost see as black boxes here. And So we are in the middle of this. The interesting part is the software is very nice, in a very nice way, scalable. So from 1 to a couple of hundred channels, and that means the density of functionality within one box can be very high, but can also be very light. So it means the hardware which is applied for this can also vary from very, very small mini PCs or Raspberry Pi solutions up to very big servers with redundant power supply and lots of capacities, solving broadcast transmission challenges. So the STL is, I think, a good example of the studio transmitter link, where typically hardware is applied, where our software can also really cover the whole application. Yeah, when we have a look a bit to the to each individual application, we will have a focus on the fernReport soon, so I will not cover this in depth, but this was really a highlight. I need to say IBC was a hard work, I think, for us as a team, because we had to talk the whole day and prepare and work after, but it was also fun to see lots of people, much more than last year. So it looks that our visibility in the market is on an increasing path. And we introduced the fernReport there. The fernReporter is really a cool device to get the audio into the master control room. Won't go too much in depth here, because that's, I think, part of Tobias a bit later. Compatibility is a key issue on SIP and maybe other protocols to get also the fernReport into existing installations. If we look to internet streaming, radio streaming, then this has been really a focus from us from the beginning. We work closely with very well-known CDNs, are certified also by some of them, and so that's I think a key application where we support lots of streaming formats. On the encoding side, I think we are almost really complete, as well as on the protocol side, and that's, I think, one of the very strong applications. STL distribution is another one where I said we replace easily audio codecs in hardware. And I know I repeat myself, but I think this is a key point, that we are very, very nicely scalable. That means you need much less power, much less space for lots of channels. And last but not least, I think two areas where we are also involved with is DVB and DAB/FM. So on the DVB side, really a full MUX and DMUX. On a DAB, it's a DMUX for monitoring purposes, and also the possibility to receive FM signals and monitor them, stream them, or store them on your appropriate, let's say, cloud or hardware storage devices. Of course, on request, can dive in with you more deeply if there are certain projects coming up on your agenda. I think it's time now to give the word back to Virginie. I think she has an interesting question.
Thanks, Detlef. Yeah, it's time now for our traditional quiz. So today it's a question on the IBC. For those who visited us, we had a funny game during the show with a paper plane competition. So people who like to join and play could prepare a paper plane and send it to different rings and gain some points. So 10 points for the biggest ring, 20 points for the middle one, and 30 points for the smallest one. And I will show you some photos. Maybe some of you have participated. It was voluntary, and we say that it was a lot of fun doing some breaks. It was more difficult as planned, so nobody managed to go through the smallest ring, but we got many participants. And the question is, how many participants manage at least to go through the middle one or the biggest ring? So we just would like a number between 1 and 100. So please feel free to give an answer on the chat. I think it's more now kind of estimation. I know Google will not help. We got one winner, who managed, I can give a hint, who managed to got 30 points, our distributor in Portugal, won the fernReport. Well, now I'm going to leave the floor to Tobias Dornbusch, who is going now to showcase the new fernReport.
Yeah, thank you, Virginie, and hello, everyone. Yes, so this was, of course, our biggest topic at the IBC this year, the fernReport. Just as general information about it is, of course, intended to be our offering or reporter unit, our offering for the reporter use case specifically, commentary and so on. But of course, despite the name, it is quite possible to use the fernReport for other applications as well, especially those where you think you might benefit from operation on the device and the scale of connections, etc., isn't too big. Before we properly jump into that, though, very quickly, a word on the pipe concept. Those of you who are not so familiar with Ferncast and aixtream yet may not have seen this before or have seen it but don't know what it is about. So very quickly, the way how we handle the connection setup, how we configure calls, etc., is via the so-called pipe concept. And that is in fact the colorful circles that you see there. And effectively, the idea is that you sort of set up your connection like a sort of construction set, let's say, where you pick your source, your input, everything else you want to do with the audio signal, the encoder, of course, and then finally the sync, that is the destination or the output element. And this way you sort of drag and drop things together. We'll see this actually directly in a moment, but just so you have this context, because it might be important to understand some of the things I will be talking about here in a moment. Right, so here we see actually an example interface for the fernReport, in fact, in action. First up, just a quick clarification here on this. So this uses our customizable dashboard. So what you need to know right now is that all of these things can be put together as you like. This is just an example, but this is in fact the example that once we actually deliver the fernReport will be sort of the default reporter interface, or at least one of the defaults that we offer you. From there, of course, the technicians, the administrators can customize it however they like, however best fits the reporters they work with. But this is sort of the default that we expect most to work with. So you have your level measurement, of course, for the microphones in this case, the ability to in fact, adjust your output volume via the faders, simply via the touch controls, of course, mute button, and so on. Obviously, you can start calls, recordings, and even adjust things like the balance and the input volume via this imagined three-dimensional space that you see on the bottom right there. And yeah, a few words about the hardware itself. Say this is in fact a Raspberry Pi working on a larger tablet, effectively. And as you can see here in the slide, which already tells you most of the interfaces that are important to note, but let me show this into the camera as well. So you, of course, have your Ethernet. You have 3 USB ports. So this is important to note that by default, we suggest you use professional USB headsets, like, for example, from Audio-Technica, Austrian Audio, etc. But of course, you can use adapters as well to use classic XLR, jack, etc., or even connect an external interface like a Focusrite Scarlett, for instance, and then connect your microphones and headsets to those, of course. Other connectors here that you would expect, like obviously the power in, but it does have a battery. Officially, it says 5 hours. In our experience, it's closer to 4, but it's still certainly much longer than any football game. So you should be fine on that front anyway. And here on the other side, of course, you have the on-off button, or standby even potentially, and things like brightness and volume measurement. And aside from that, once you have it turned on, it's entirely controlled via touchscreen, as you can imagine. Though, of course, via the USB ports, you could also attach external control interfaces. Now, I would actually like to show the interface in action. You should be seeing my screen now. So I'm actually on one of our fernReports in our network right now. So this is a slightly different example of how such a reporter interface could be looking like. And yes, of course, to get that question out of the way, while the reporter obviously can operate the fernReport on the touchscreen itself, if you're connected either via Ethernet or via Wi-Fi, and potentially even via a VPN if the reporter is at home or somewhere else, the technician could, of course, control everything via regular web interface, just as I am doing right now. So if you have a reporter colleague that prefers to do basically nothing at all and just let the studio handle it, then this is absolutely possible. I mentioned, of course, the faders and volume measurement here. As you see, most of these features, of course, you've seen on the screen before. Two other cool things, though, that you probably didn't see there that I would like to highlight very quickly are our smart actions. So this is very useful for technicians or reporters, in fact, who have very specific input-output switches or recorded files that they want to play or trigger any sort of strange action. This would, of course, be part of a more customized dashboard. And there you can simply freely set just about any action that the system can perform on this customized control panel. So this can be as large or as small as you need it to be. And of course, accordingly, you simply click on the buttons and then thus start and stop specific functions. Like in this case, could be turning on the atmosphere running through the headset of the reporter, if we're talking, for example, in a football match or the like. And below that, you see a new playlist widget, which similarly is meant to organize a file playlist that you have prepared. And then you can, of course, start or stop, and as the case may be, the playout of those files, which, as I mentioned with the football case, for example, could be used to insert jingles, or maybe you have a specific tone you want to play when a goal is scored, etc. So that is all possible. As I mentioned, when we actually deliver the fernReports, there will be these standard dashboards prepared that will be immediately available, and that will also be stretched to fit like the default reporter view, in fact. But you can, of course, have multiple dashboards, and maybe on the technician end especially, you want to see other things. So of course, you could have like a general overview of all the connections that are running on the system, what they're currently doing, perhaps what encoders are used in those. So this would be an example, multiple level meters informing you some status, etc. Or even just a simple zip phone book where either the technician or the reporter, depending on how the system is set up, can quickly start and stop, obviously, also calls to interview partners, for example, if they are remote, or otherwise connect via SIP. And before we move on here, just a quick direct look at how the pipes actually look in the wild, let's say. So here we have actually a list of pipes, very much like you've seen earlier, obviously configured right now for various input-output scenarios on the fernReport to ingest the atmosphere, for instance, or make recordings. And if we take a quick look here at the option to create a new pipe, then you can also tell the sheer breadth of input and output options that are available, sources and sinks, of course, as you've seen with Detlef's presentation. And as I mentioned, for the fan report, you could also use many of these things. So for instance, let's say you run a small radio station and you want to build up your own web radio. So of course you have only maybe one or two streams, maybe like two qualities. You want it to be simple. You have a decent internet line. All you need is an encoder for these maybe two audio streams. Then maybe the fan report is also a very affordable option to do so. So that's maybe something interesting to keep in mind there.
So thanks Tobias for the fan report introduction and the demo. Now Bernd is going to present you the latest aixtream features. As you might know, the latest release 3.5 was released just before the IBC, and I will let now Bernd explain to you what are the new features.
Okay, yeah, thank you very much. So apart from the one big thing we had at IBC, that was the fan report, also the new version brings, I think, quite a bit of interesting stuff. And I picked two of the those interesting features, which are a bit bigger, and try to bring them a little bit closer to you. So I think I'll share my screen.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
And I'll show the entire screen because I will be giving also a quick demo. Let me start with this one. This is a feature we recently added. So far, what you have seen also from Detlef's presentation is that aixtream was mostly about streaming. So we're taking a pre-produced audio signal, transcode it, package it, and distribute it, and enrich it with metadata and such stuff. But we never got too much in touch with the production side, and that's what we're approaching here a little bit. So the new feature is interaction with the scheduling software, which is for now Music Master, to be extended later probably. Music Master is a scheduling software. You see a screenshot here. It's running on Windows, and the radio station editor or operator just sets a playout schedule for the music or contributions, and that is based on a song database, which of course needs to be provided. And that's in that case virtually all that the radio station has to do. So the effort gets less on that side and a little bit more is on our side. So if we move to the task that Ferncast aixtream now has to do, and what we can do is we can fetch and update the playout schedule by accessing the Music Master API. So we can directly retrieve that information. We get the files, we arrange them, we transcode them, cue points, so cutting end and beginning if needed, applying crossfades, inserting metadata. Even to a certain extent, we can adjust for playout schedule inaccuracies. And then we encode, package it into various formats, whatever you like, icecast, HLS, dash, and feed it to the CDN. I think that's a very interesting feature, and I hope to see it in use in the near future, and probably there's more to come very soon. Okay, so just very quickly, that was one feature, and the other thing is maybe a different direction. We now do have full container support, so for Docker containers, and I will give you a brief demo on this. So Docker container is a quick way to set up an aixtream installation on a host based on an image that we provide. And I just want to showcase how smoothly that goes. So that could be, as a first shot, maybe a demo installation for you, which we can provide in an easy way if you have a Docker host available, or it's a thing we could host on our side to provide services. So there's more on that later. Or maybe you want a more flexible installation in your data center and be able to containerize your software installations. And that's now also possible with our product. And here's an example. So you will get one file from us if you order Docker support or a Docker demo. And this is this shell script. And all you have to do is provide a port on which that is running, and you have to provide a root password. And then you have to enter password which we provide you with because it's encrypted. And wait a few seconds and your Docker is ready. And you can start it, Docker start. I have to type it, aixtream. Now the cryptic number ATC45E05. Okay, and now it's running, and I can go to the browser, and I've set port 8010. I go to my machine, HTTP 8010. And there you go. You have a login screen, and you can get the password test, which I gave. Let's save it. And you're up and running, and you have an aixtream instance, and I did some pre-configuration, so there's already a simple icecast running, some restreaming. So that's really a quick thing. You will also see, of course, there needs to be some license management. For that, we have a license server running, and the Docker installation that we provide you with contacts the license server and obtains the license that we set up for you there. And you can see in settings licenses that's the demo installation with all the licenses we could potentially provide. And yes, so they are checked out online and you can use them. There's also a grace period if the license server has an update interval or something. And so nice, quick and easy way first to get a demo or to have a flexible installation in your data centers or something that maybe even we host in the context of the online services we have an offer from now on. And I think that's a good point to hand over to Tobias, who will introduce those service offers.
Yes, so cloud services. Ultimately, it's actually fairly simple and perhaps also very logical given our focus on software and where we are coming from. But now is really the point where it is easy enough for us from a logistical perspective and also a technological perspective to do that we actually want to push these. So what do we actually mean when we say aixtream cloud services? Effectively, it's just about anything you can do with aixtream if you have it on-prem, but obviously as cloud installations. And with that specifically, we mean we can prepare a cloud installation, maybe even using the Docker container that Bernd just showed for you. And then either, depending on your preference, you operate this obviously in the cloud. You simply stream your audio to it in whatever way works for you, and then process it, encode it to get whatever output you would like. In a lot of cases, this will probably be some sort of streaming like web radio and so on, but could also be even contribution or in some cases communication, depending on how your audio workflow is set up. Alternatively, we can even manage it entirely for you. So you simply tell us where we get the audio, what we're supposed to do with it, and then all of the monitoring, the management, the troubleshooting is handled by us, of course, at a higher subscription cost, unsurprisingly. And in most cases, it will be based on a monthly or perhaps yearly subscription cost, based on the number of channels and features that you want us to support. In general, we separate these into the three sections that you see here on the left and the middle. So as I mentioned, the streaming, contribution, / communication with a bit of a question mark, because of course in a lot of cases you don't want to have that go through a cloud, but depending on your setup, maybe that's okay. And of course production, which ties into the music master scheduling that we mentioned, of course, and more generally on-demand content processing for like also podcasts and the like. And of course, you can freely combine these different aspects. So you could have a cloud installation running that is processing, encoding, and streaming your web radio, but also generating generating and uploading the audio files for your podcast library, for instance. So effectively, as I said, almost anything you can do with an aixtream installation that is on-prem, you can now do as a sort of service by us in the cloud. If you have any specific ideas, simply approach us and we can work out the details, both on the technological level, on the workflow level, and of course on the financial level. But yes, great opportunity to simplify workflows, make things easier for you and your colleagues, and also benefit from a lot of aixtream advantages without requiring on-prem hardware. Back to Virginie.
Yeah, great. Thanks, Tobias. And we are perfectly on time. We still have 5 minutes to go. So maybe it's time now to look at the quiz answer. So I'm going now to give the right answer. So the right answer was 9. So only 9 people managed to send a paper plane through the ring. So it was quite difficult. Next year we have to make it a bit easier. Detlef, do we have a winner in the chat? I saw some.
Yeah, I think you gave a good hint that it's much less. I think that was a good idea. So that means also people who gave already a number were able to revise that, change that again. And well, if I look through the chat, then I see that we have a winner. And for me, the winner here is, so far as I can see, is Dejan Ristovski with the number of 11, which is very close to 9. Congratulations, Dejan.
Yeah, so congratulations. You won the Ferncast Polo and a nice Ferncast cap. Yeah, you can see the one of Tobias. You can choose which one you like. I will ask you. We have different expert one, SIP or DAB or podcast.
Yeah. What I can add on this is that the low number was, I would say, half. That people had trouble actually making the planes get the right aerodynamics. So we had a lot of loops before they even got close to the rings, but also half that some of the rings were perhaps a bit too small. So we'll see about improving that next year. And then maybe help them more with the aerodynamics as well. We'll see.
Yeah, maybe we do a workshop before about
exactly.
the aerodynamics, half an hour or so, and then yeah.
We will back anyway in Amsterdam next year for the IBC. So we'd like to thank all the speakers for their presentation and the demos. We still have a few minutes to go. So I don't know if we have some question in the chat, or if you like to unmute, contact Tobias, our product expert. If you would like to get an aixtream demo for free, you can ask him, or if you like to get a fernReport, you can be added on the waiting list now for the next devices. We can also organize another call if you would like to have more info or more demos.
Regarding hello everybody. Regarding the container support for docking, is there any specific requirement for the station, or is only remote docking? So the local support, the local machine doesn't require any special specification.
No, I don't think there's anything too special. Of course, it needs to be a Linux host with a Linux kernel and the Docker engine running up there, and that's basically it. The amount of things you can do with it, of course, depends on memory and CPU you give it. But yeah, it should be running with very little capacity. As you see on the fernReport, it's only got 4 GB and a Raspberry Pi. That is not too much. So on a regular server, it's really not an issue. So nothing particular. Of course, you will not, but that's not what it's intended to be. You will not be able to use hardware, really. So any PCI cards or it's a network thing only. So it will, of course, only can do network to network, in various formats. If you want to involve audio hardware, sound cards, some other PCI cards, for example, for ASI or something, then we would recommend to have a regular installation on the server. But that can also be in a virtual machine. But the Docker thing way is not the right thing to go there. But if you're restricted to network, then it's all fine. Yeah.
Thanks, Bernd, for the clarification. If we don't have other questions, then I wish you all a nice day. Thanks again for your participation, your time, and hope to see you in our next webinar. Goodbye.